Hey everyone, I am back. I have missed you all so much, and we're here with another video today after a really long time. With fall anime quickly approaching, this video will be covering all of the fall anime that I will be watching, and some anime that I'm very curious about, even though no one's really talking about them. And what I highly suggest is you probably grab a snack, grab a drink, because this video is probably going to be a long one. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Animel. If you haven't been here before, I'm Mel, the host of this channel. And if you have never been here before, you have been here before and are not subscribed yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. One anime that I am super excited for its return is Rezero Season 3. And if you've never seen Rezero before, really quick synopsis, this guy Subaru gets teleported to another world, so it's an isekai anime. And here, he finds out things are very different from where he's originally from, as other worlds usually go. But he's acquired some very special ability that we still don't really know where it comes from. I think we do from Season 2. It's been a while. But he acquires this ability that allows him to respawn every time he dies. It's very video game-esque. However, it's borderline horror because the way that Subaru dies each time and him being revived after every single death is very much giving PTSD, lots of trauma, and by the time this series ends, I don't think he'll be fully like 100% up here. But the whole crux of this story is driven by the fact that Subaru meets Emilia in this very first episode and is so drawn and captivated by her that he decides to help her in her succession to royalty because she's eligible. Now fast forward to Season 3, because Season 3 takes place 1 year after Season 2. In this specific arc, it seems like it will be revolved around the royal selection. So they are on their way to the royal selection, which I think is like a tournament style type of selection. So yay, tournament. And it looks like we will be finally seeing another bishop of the 7 deadly sins. The first one that we were introduced to was the Bishop of Sloth. And this time we will be introduced to the Bishop of Wrath. So I expect a lot of anger, a lot of additional mishaps, a lot of continuous death on Subaru's part because it wouldn't be Zero without it, and a lot of, oh my god, what the f am I watching coming from me? Oh, and one thing to note, the very first episode for Rezero will be 90 minutes long. As to whether it's an actual full 90 minutes or 90 minutes in Japan, inclusive of commercial time, I don't know. While the fall is known to be very action-packed most times, we are not short of romance anime. 365 Days to the Wedding is a new anime that's coming out this fall. The story behind this anime is that two coworkers and a bunch of other coworkers are basically told at their jobs that a lot of them are about to be relocated to Alaska from Japan. Doesn't sound great. But here's the kicker. The ones who will be prioritized for relocation are anyone who's single. And seeing as two of these coworkers that I mentioned earlier don't really want to go to Alaska, they hatch a plan to get married so that they don't have to be relocated to Alaska. They don't really like each other, they don't really have crushes on each other, they just really don't want to go. And they seem to have a hard time in the dating space. Both of them are extreme introverts and are having a hard time in retaining a significant other in any shape or form up until this point. However, when two strangers come together and say like, let's get married, you kind of got to make it convincing to all of your coworkers and your bosses that this is real. So I think the struggle for this anime is going to be, one, making sure people don't find out their secret, and two, normally as things go in a story like this, they'll probably end up falling in love, so we'll get to watch all of the awkward moments that they try to not be in love because things are weird, but then end up falling in love because how can you not in such close space and close proximity and trying to pretend to be married? I mean, I don't really know how this works, but I'm very curious, so I'll be watching. If you're a subscriber to my channel, then you already know that DanDaDan is coming out this fall. I feel like I don't need to explain what DanDaDan is. If you need an explanation and you've never heard of DanDaDan before, please check out my video as I give a very full, well-rounded description with no spoilers as to what DanDaDan is and why I think it's going to be the anime of the season, if not anime of the year for 2026 or 2025. I forget how that thing works. Especially because we're getting 12 episodes for DanDaDan this fall, but we are getting an additional 12 episodes, the second part of the first season, second core, in summer of 2025. Big warning though is that in the very first episode, things may shock you a lot, but I promise that that's the only instance in which you'll see cringe content like that. The story is extremely captivating, super fun. The characters are just so lovable, wacky, just straight weirdos that you can't help but love. The subbed and the dubbed both sound equally fantastic, and great news that I read somewhere is that DanDaDan is going to be getting both the subbed and the dubbed aired at the same time, so no spoilers for anybody if you choose to watch, you know, same day, next day, or within the same week, yeah? But you can highly expect this anime to keep you on your toes and fully surprised if you choose to watch it. As I mentioned, we are not short of romances. Another romance that we're getting this fall is Blue Box. I have been hearing such good things about Blue Box that I've been wanting to read the manga. But when I saw that it was getting an anime, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll wait. And what makes this even better is that it's a sports romance? So this guy, Taiki, is part of this integrated like high school. He's in junior high and there's also a senior high. So it's just one big high school mashed together. He is currently on the badminton team and really strives to go to what they call open practice as early as possible. However, he's always the second one there as his high school crush, and the star player of the basketball team, Chinatsu, is always there before him. Seeing as that she's such a known person in the high school, especially for her skills on the basketball team, he finds it really hard to approach her for such reasons. And it's basically about a story of Taiki wanting to make a name for himself, I guess, in the high school by going to the nationals on the badminton team, as this is something that Chinatsu is also striving for. And if he's able to actually make it to nationals, then maybe, just maybe, this oh so popular girl Chinatsu will also notice him. What I really like about the plot and the premise of this story is that, one, it's two people playing sports. I really love sports. And I feel like when you meet someone that you really like and you both play sports, it like allows you to support each other in a more emphasized way. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like you really understand that person when it comes to their passions around sports and are able to more easily empathize and connect with them. So I feel like the bond that they will make over their mutual interests of sports is going to help fortify their relationship and also help fortify and strengthen them in their respective sports that they play. So I don't expect this to be like romance turned on 100% of the time. I expect there to be some sports action going on, but we're not just going to see badminton and basketball, which is played by our respective main characters, but it looks like some of the supporting characters play other sports. Like I saw rhythmic gymnastics in the trailer and I was like, ooh, this looks like fun. This one may not have a lot to it, as I discovered the trailer kind of just today, and also it seems to be an original anime, so it doesn't have any source material like manga, manhwa, or a light novel or anything else of the sort. This anime is called NegaPosiAngler, and it's more of a slice of life around this guy who's a little bit depressed, down in debt, that discovers he has only 2 years left to live. And some sequence of events leads him to discovering a group of people that introduce him to the sport and hobby of fishing. So even though he doesn't have much time left, he really finds, I guess, you could say, his purpose, meaning, and passion in life through fishing. So it's about this collective group of friends and this one individual who has very little time left to live, fortifying and creating relationships around this one activity. It looks really cute. It looks a little bit funny despite the sad undertone. And I'm just a real sucker for a tearjerker anime, which sounds like this. There is so much anime coming out this fall that Amazon Prime is picking up anime. Kinda salty about it, but I'm really looking forward to this specific anime, so it looks like I'll be watching anime on Amazon Prime this year. This anime is called Magilumiere Co Ltd. Have you ever wondered what the world would be like if you could be a magical girl? I mean, I have, because I grew up watching Sailor Moon, and I'm sure many people have if you grew up watching Sailor Moon. Like, what would it be like being a magical girl? Well, Magilumiere Magilumiere turns this whole magical girl concept and said, what if we make it a profession? Magical girls at work. That's basically what it is. Magilumiere is the name of a startup company that two of our main characters work for. But our main character, Kana, is kind of lost looking for a job, is trying to enter the workforce, and hasn't really found her purpose. Jumping from interview to interview to interview, she stumbles upon Magilumiere, applies for a job there, and is kind of accepted right away because they only have one magical girl and they need more. So it's kind of about the story of Kana, who is trying to discover herself, what she wants to do with her life, and kind of what she feels like should or could be her purpose in life. And ends up building all of these deep relationships within Magilumiere, and also finding out what she's actually good at and her best qualities, I guess you could say. Oh, and if I didn't mention, the reason magical girls work, have jobs, and exist in the society of the world and universe of Magilumiere is that there are these monsters called Kai that are kind of like a regular part of society. So magical girls were invented to kind of destroy them and keep them at bay. However, Magilumiere is not the only company. There are a bunch of magical girl companies. So not only is this story about magical girls fighting monsters and really cool transformations, because I feel like I miss seeing that magical girl transformation, but it's also a little bit about capitalism. Because we're watching this small startup struggle amongst these large magical girl corporations and trying to find their place in the world. So the easiest way that I can explain Magilumiere to you is magical girls have gone corporate. Another highly anticipated anime that will be making its return this fall is Blue Lock with its season 2. We will be picking right back up from season 1 when Ego, the head of the program, decides to announce to everybody, or has announced to everybody, that Blue Lock's program is about to get shut down. And the only way for it to survive is that they have to go through one more round of selection where they will select 35 players, the bench and, starting 11, to play against U20 of Japan. So we've got a more intensive knockout round coming, some new characters with some different skill sets that will continue to push Isagi to be the best striker that he is seeking to be. Also, we still need to figure out what happened to Kunigami, because at the end of season 1, they showed us that Kunigami was kicked out of the whole process and he was about to go home from the Blue Block program, but it seems like he was selected for this special wildcard event. So that's one thing I hope that they'll address in season 2, which seems to be a bit short. It seems like we're only getting 14 episodes. And also address the fact that they will be facing off with U20 Japan, and it seems like one of the supporting characters, Rin, will be facing off against his brother Sae. So there is a lot at stake here, and I highly figure that season 2 is going to be much more intense than season 1. Thousand Year Blood War is returning with part 3, The Conflict. I figure that part 3 is probably going to contain a lot more new anime-only stuff. I feel like I don't really need to explain Bleach to you all, but if you need to know what Bleach is about, please watch some of the many other Bleach videos I've created. I recently created a video on Bleach, why it's highly misunderstood. Maybe that'll give you some context so I don't have to explain it here. But with its return, some of the trailers have been emphasizing on the aspect of Bankai, so here are some things I think are going to come out of it. One is that we'll probably get to see some anime-only Bankai that didn't get revealed in the manga. For those of you who may or may not know, the arc of Thousand Year Blood War in Bleach was rushed towards the end. So there's a lot of stuff that Kubo-sensei wanted to put in the manga for Thousand Year Blood War, but didn't get a chance to. So the plan is to put them in the anime. So I think we'll be getting some of those anime-only Bankais. In addition to that, if you are an anime-only viewer, you will be getting some Bankai that you have never seen before throughout the series of Bleach up until this point. We are definitely going to be seeing some deaths based on what I've seen in the trailers. And we're also going to be getting some fan-favorite returning characters from previous arcs, like I'm talking about Hueco Mundo arcs. I mean, is it spoiling if I say who it is? Because they're in the trailers, they're in the promo videos. And what I will add is that within parts 1 and 2 of Thousand Year Blood War, it's been faithful to the manga up until this point. Maybe 1 or 2 anime-only stuff in part 2. But I think from here on out with part 3 and 4, we're going to be getting so much more anime-only new stuff. So it's going to be something fresh and enjoyable for manga readers as well. An anime that I have not seen many talks of that I'm very curious about. The visuals are very interesting and it looks kind of dramatic, like Vinland Saga type of dramatic, is Orb on the movements of the Earth. And it seems like this whole story is around humans discovering how the solar system works, but more specifically, the fact that the Earth revolves around the sun. However, at this point in time, I don't know what century it is, but it seems pretty far back in time, people don't believe that. And anyone who says that the Earth revolves around the sun is labeled a heretic and burned at the stake. So yeah, really fun stuff. However, this one character, Rafal, is convinced that this is how the solar system works. And other characters seem to stumble upon his theories and ideas, and at the risk of their lives are trying to prove that this really is the case, the Earth revolves around the sun. And it's an adventure drama as to how they delve into this mystery. Fall 2024 would not be complete without a reboot, because it feels like we're in the era of anime reboots. I wouldn't be surprised if someone comes around one day and says, we're getting a Bleach reboot. I wish. Or we're getting a Yu Yu Hakusho reboot. I wish. But in the spirit of reboots, Ranma 1/2 is coming out this fall with a reboot. The original came out in 1989 and has had a bunch of OVAs and other anime releases since that time within the late 80s and early 90s. And for me, I actually never watched the original, so I am really looking forward to watching the reboot, as it seems to be a romance comedy of sorts, where Ranma, who is the second generation head of a martial arts school, is forced to marry Akane, the daughter of another martial arts school, like a dojo, and they're not really about it. They don't really want to get married. But there's some quirky thing about Ranma and his family. Whenever he gets splashed or exposed to cold water, he physically changes into a woman. And in order for him to revert back to his male anatomy self, he must be exposed or splashed or bathed in hot water. So it's a conundrum of sorts, because Akane has no interest in him, declares that she hates boys, but then you've got Ranma, who can also turn into a female. So I'm really curious as to how that relationship builds between them anytime Ranma becomes a woman. And actually, now that I think about it, when I think about DanDaDan and Gigi, I feel like Tatsu-sensei is referring to Ranma 1/2 when it comes to the whole like cold water, hot water thing. That just dawned upon me. Sleep on that. Next, we have the return of Blue Exorcist Season 4. Didn't we just get Season 3 earlier this year? I mean, I'm not complaining. That's amazing considering it's been a long time since we've had any Blue Exorcist content. With the return of Season 4, it seems like we have a couple of problems in Season 4. First is Yukio. Yukio, at the end of Season 3, looks like he was displaying signs of him inheriting Satan's powers, which has not existed up until this point. And it also seems like he's having some difficulties with his brother getting stronger and stronger, and can't seem to acknowledge his own personal shortcomings. So he's suffering from self-loathing, which is turning to him hating his brother, and then also hating his own genetics of him being Satan's son. So we can definitely expect Yukio to go berserk ape in the worst ways possible against his brother or any of his allies. In addition to that, their teacher, I think her name is Shura, has gone missing. They claim that she's gone AWOL, but I assume there's more to the story based on how the trailers depict her. And the third thing that I think we'll get out of this is more details on what happened on the Blue Night. Oh, and just a little bit more, they are pushing the exams up, so everyone's going to have to test early. I think we can expect some failures out of this because no one passes on the first try, right? And Chiemi and Rin seem to be getting closer. Can we say that they start dating by the end of Season 4? I hope so. Kamonohashi Ran is returning with its Season 2. If you did not watch Season 1, quick synopsis. Ran is this character that used to be a detective and was testing to be a detective, but was framed for murdering all of the applicants in the test that led him to being barred from ever being a detective or practicing detective work. But through a loophole and in working with someone in the detective agency or part of the police force, he's able to help him solve mysteries and also help him learn and educate like how to become a better detective through him. However, by the end of season 1, we discover that him murdering all of those people was a scheme orchestrated by the Moriarty family. That 2, Kamonohashi Ran seems to be a descendant of the Sherlock family, which explain his insane deductive skills, but 2, also a descendant of the Moriarty family. So the Moriarty family has been scheming to make sure that he can never be a detective or deduce or solve mysteries ever again, so that Ron will eventually join their side. And with these reveals coming at the end of season 1, it builds up to season 2, where Moriarty and Kamonohashi Ran are facing off against a series of mysteries that the Moriarty family has orchestrated. I figure there's going to be a little bit of tragedy that happens in season 2. And hopefully we'll get some hints as to what really happened during that bloody training incident where Ron was framed for killing all of those applicants. Because I think it's a little time that you give us just a little bit of details. One that I'm really excited for and still waiting on the return for the manga is Yakuza Fiance. Yakuza Fiance revolves around these 2 teens. Yes, I said teens, they're in high school, maybe like 17, 18, and how both of their respective families are forcing them into an engagement. Both of these gangs, or Yakuza, are currently stationed in different cities. Our main character, Somei Yoshino, is based in Osaka, where the Somei group is, and our male lead, Miyama Kirishima, is stationed in Tokyo, where the Miyama group is. And seeing as they both come from Yakuza families, you could kind of guess that they've lived some interesting lives. On the surface and in the beginning, they both seem very normal, like really normal, and you think, this might be a normal romance story. Nope. Kirishima shows signs of being an actual Yakuza, and a really violent one at that. And he has this facade going on up until a certain point, and then kind of breaks in front of Yoshino. At which point, she becomes absolutely horrified. And at that point also, we start to learn and figure out throughout the story that Yoshino is not as normal as she seems. They're both twisted and warped in their own ways from growing up in Yakuza families, which I guess means that they're a perfect match for each other. But the thing is, Yoshino hates Kirishima's guts, like, hates him. And he's like really twisted, but a little bit deeper and more profound than what he lets on. If you like romances with that extremely toxic male lead, this is the one. This is the one. Romance anime coming through again with Nina the Starry Bride. Nina the Starry Bride is about a woman who gets sold into slavery. And she becomes slave, I guess, to the prince of a nation or a kingdom or a city. In acquiring her, this prince is like, so, there's this princess. She's dead or presumed dead. You're going to replace her now. So you as Nina no longer exist. You are now Alicia, the princess of, I think, the nation that he's in. And is planning on using her to help him acquire power or acquire the throne, since he is second in line as prince. And it seems like he has intentions of eventually killing her off, but I think they start to build feelings for each other. That's how romances go, right? They start to build feelings for each other, but you know, you can't have a romance without a secondary male lead to mix things up. So it's a love triangle of sorts. Nina falls in love with her captor, but I'm getting the impression that she has more secrets, so I'm very curious as to how the rest of the story gets derailed. For the 80s and 90s kids, we have Dragon Ball Daima coming out with a brand new story that, rest in peace, Toriyama sensei was working on before he passed away earlier this year. This story seems to be taking place in between the Buu saga, the Majin Buu saga arc, and Dragon Ball Super. And apparently it's been 40 years of Dragon Ball, so happy anniversary, Dragon Ball. And it seems like everyone has been turned into children. So like Goku is a kid, Vegeta is a kid, Bulma is a kid, Master Roshi is a teenager, it seems, since I guess he's a lot older. And Goten and Trunks are babies, like babies, infants. However, one thing I noticed is that Gohan is nowhere in sight in any of the trailers. As someone who really loves Gohan, and I think a lot of people really love him, I'm trying to understand Why is Gohan in none of the trailers? Where is my guy? And last on this very specific list, because pretty sure there are some anime that I'm leaving off that, I mean, I'll be watching them, but I just can't get to them, is Demon Lord 2099, so 2099. This one is definitely giving Devil is a part-timer vibes. And if you've watched Devil is a part-timer, the first season came out like in 2013, then they came out with season 2 in like 2023, and season 2 just didn't quite hit the same as season 1. Now, what I am enjoying from what I'm seeing from the trailers of Demon Lord 2099 is that one, it's set in the future, hence the year 2099, and it's got this like cyberpunk type of vibe. So this guy appears in a world that he no longer recognizes, but he still wants to conquer the world. But in order for him to conquer this world, he needs to get a job first. Sound familiar? And jobs in this day and age are very different. I find it quite comedic that in the trailer they suggest that he becomes a streamer because entertaining people is another form of acquiring money, making a living. So I'm kind of looking forward to this one because I feel like it's the additional comedic spice that I need on my list in between all of these action, drama, and romances that I've got on my list for fall this year. And I do want to make some honorable mentions because they've captured my attention, but I've yet to see season 1 of each of these shows, and that is Shangri-La, who I've seen Joe from Life with Anime podcast talk about a lot. I decided to watch the trailer and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I will watch it this fall after I watch season 1. And the other one is Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, also coming out with a season 2 this fall, but I've yet to see season 1. And in the spirits of October and Halloween, I feel like it's the perfect one to watch. So those 2 honorable mentions, I'll probably be checking out this fall once I've caught up on season 1s respectively. Alrighty, there you have it. This has been one of the longest seasonal videos that I've ever done. Hopefully I've exposed you to a new anime that wasn't originally on your list and you've now added to your list. You're welcome. And if there are any anime that I did not mention, because you know what? Fall is super duper 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 stacked, please throw them out in the comments below if you think I should check them out. And if you like this video, make sure you leave comments, like, and share with a friend so that we can grow our AniMel community here online. However, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for joining. It is really great to be back. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will catch you on the next one. Bye!